All right. I wanted to talk about today about the stock market. Went down again. So it was up yesterday, but 3 out of 4 days has been going down. And again today with slightly different concerns. So volatility lashed Wall Street with strong evidence of a cooling labor market. This time it was all about a report that was issued by Challenger today. And really, they started worrying about the labor market and pushing high valuation tech stocks and crypto to big losses. Again, I want to point out again that the stock market is going in line with crypto. It's just in crypto, it's magnifying the effect on the stock market. So if you're trying to diversify with crypto, you're not diversifying with crypto because they're correlated with the stock market. So, two big losses, while bonds rallied on bets the Federal Reserve will cut rates. So when the bond rallies, of course, the yield goes down. So equities sold off for a second time in 3 days, right? So Monday, Tuesday, and then today. And the 10-year yields tumbled the most in about a month. So that's good news. 10 years kind of loosely related to the mortgage rate. So this is probably a good news for when we're going to talk about real estate in a moment. So that's probably going to help with the real estate on this side. But that came from a Challenger Gray and Christmas report that they released. And earlier today, the NASDAQ 100 went down like 1.9%. Last time I checked, I think at the end was 1.1, 1.2. So, and then the volatility index went all the way up to 20 at one point. So let's look at some of the data. So this is the bond basically. You can see that the bond went down a little bit from 4.16 to 4.09. This is a pretty big drop. I mean, not as big as this, but it's a pretty big drop that happened based on that. So that's one aspect of it. Then we look at the Challenger report. So this is, so the U.S. companies announced most October job cuts in over 20 years. So that's a huge amount of time for seeing these kind of job cuts. So the U.S. companies announced 153,000 job cuts in October, that's last month. And so that's driven by technology and warehousing sectors, according to data from Challenger. The job cuts are attributed, so this is something important, are attributed to AI adoption, softening consumer and corporate spending, and rising costs, which are driving belt tightening. So obviously people are going to start saving, and this also caused some hiring freeze because companies then don't want to spend too much money. So Target, Amazon, and Paramount have announced plans to eliminate thousands of roles. So this is a little bit different than just jobs. These are actual roles. So they're restructuring their organization to reduce and improve efficiency or reduce, duplicity of work or things that they don't need anymore. So some industries are correcting after the hiring boom of the pandemic. So they kind of like went overhead. We had very low unemployment rate for the longest period of time. And now they're trying to think about, okay, well, how do we streamline our business? How do we streamline our processes to bring the costs, be more efficient? But so this comes as they're thinking that it's going to be AI adoption, so they're planning to use more AI. They think it's not as some jobs are not as needed as they used to be. Softening consumer and corporate spending, rising costs, etc. So we already talked about that. So those laid off now is going to find it harder to quickly secure new roles because now they've not only let people go, they also reduced the roles that they were trying to hire. They cut down their hiring as well or froze their hiring for some period of time. So the year-to-date job cuts, so in 2025, when the year is not over, have exceeded 1 million jobs, so the most since the pandemic. This is unbelievable. But it's kind of weird because we definitely felt it during the pandemic when everybody was laid off, nobody was working. But now, I don't know, like maybe it's just me, I don't feel it, I don't see it as much, it's not as prevalent. So US-based employers have announced the fewest hiring plans, so they've also cut down their hiring. That's why it's going to make it more difficult for people to find jobs. It's possible that with rate cuts and a strong showing in November, companies may make a late season push for employees, but at this point, I don't think so. I mean, they're thinking that consumer spending is really down. If people are afraid of their job, they're going to cut down their spending, especially as we're approaching the holidays. So a lot of the UPS, FedEx, a lot of the additional workers that they would normally hire for the season, these jobs are not going to be needed because the consumer are not spending the money. So in recent weeks, Target Corp announced plans to eliminate 1,800 jobs, about 8% of corporate jobs. So not really the people that are like in the retail side of things. These are more corporate jobs. Amazon said it would slash 14,000, again, corporate jobs. So these are managers, mid-level manager. So again, thinking that AI will shrink the company's workforce. We also have like Starbucks, Delta, CarMax, Rivian, Molson also cutting. This one is cutting salaried workforce again, so that's mid-level manager. The company's the reason vary, but UPS, for example, said last month that it has called its operational workforce. So this is different. These are people that are driving trucks, delivering packages. So this is the people at the front line here, and so they're obviously seeing that the number of deliveries are significantly reduced, have significantly reduced. And that means that really the consumer spending and corporate spending has really dropped down, and they don't need as many employees. So they're cutting down like 34,000 jobs. So that's about 70% more than previously projected earlier this year. So others are focused on removing layers of management. So that's what we've seen, all these corporate jobs, reducing roles, reducing the hangover from the pandemic-fueled hiring bloat. So apparently some companies hired too many people after the pandemic. Then we had protecting profit margins from the added cost of tariffs. So now they're mentioning tariffs. So many expected the increased tariffs to drive up prices. Many employers have absorbed the price increase and instead chosen to cut costs from labor. So as I said in a previous video, is that when we are looking at tariffs, so that increases the cost to the people that are the manufacturers, the cost of resources and ingredients and whatever they need to manufacture things here in the U.S. It's also going to increase the cost of inputs basically to manufacture. This cost is going to be passed on from manufacturer to distributor to blah 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 all the way down the chains to the retailer who's facing the customer. Now the retailer is going to think, well, can I increase the price to my customer? Can my customer pay more for this? From the customer's perspective, you have two choices. I can substitute to another product, go to another store, or just cut down the amount that I'm buying. So this is exactly what's going on right now, is that the prices, some of the retailers have taken on the cost, the increased costs, and reduced their margins slightly. But we've seen some companies where really the margins hasn't suffered with the tariffs. So we've seen kind of like both sides. And in my opinion, what's going to happen with U.S. corporations, they're going to have a choice, and they're going to make all three choices. They can decide to reduce their profit margin. That's probably going to be their last resort, but their profit margin is going to be affected. And if that happens, then that means the stock market is going to suffer, right? So because they're going to see that, hey, something is going on with the company, with the economy and whatnot, so this company is not as profitable, stock market is going to suffer. They can decide to increase the price and pass it on to the consumer, and that means that the the inflation is going to go up. It's going to cost more money. The consumer is going to decide what they want to do with that. They're going to either spend less, find cheaper product, etc. They're going to move from steak to chicken, and they're going to go from butter to margarine. I don't know, or just cut that out or reduce the amount that they are eating or doing. So the next thing is about job cutting costs. So they want to preserve their margin, so they're going to cut costs. One of the best ways to cut costs is to get rid of employees, and this is what is going on right now. So they decided to cut roles, reorg, and then let go of some employees that they don't need, and this is what the issue is right here. So that's where we are for this. Then we have another thing I want to mention too is about the home builders. So there was something, home builders bet on 1% mortgage rates to wake up U.S. buyers. So it sounds like the home buyers are really trying to, they want to basically get the mortgage as low as possible, and they're really trying to get out their inventory. So U.S. home buyers are looking at the most affordable monthly payments in a year with the average month rate near 6%. They're subsidizing mortgage rates and offering perks like free appliances, zero closing costs to attract more buyer. And the tactics are the result of an industry trying to get the attention from the buyers. A lot of the buyers, they feel like the houses are not affordable. They're concerned about their jobs, and when you're concerned about your job, you don't feel like spending money on a house. So this is what's going on. So with the average mortgage rate near 6%, U.S. home buyers are looking at the most affordable monthly payments in a year. But San Antonio real estate agent knows how to get them lower, much lower. And what they want to do is buy. You need to buy new, because if you buy new, you're going to be able to get even lower interest rate. So Wayman said that a large private builder just gave one client a 3.49% fixed rate on a $414 home on the west side of town. Sales agent even bump up Wayman's commission to cover the cost of breaking the buyer's lease, and threw in another $2,000 to make the first month effectively free. I mean, this is just insane. They just want to get their inventory out. Then we have this single mother relocating from Florida is interested in the 3.99% fixed rate offered by Horton, the biggest U.S. builder of stock market value. But it's the introductory rate of less than 1% for the first year that really caught her eye. And if that sounds to you, I mean, obviously I'm not seeing a big trend across all the different builders here, but if this reminds you of the subprime, this could be what happens, because what happens when it goes from 1% to 4%? Are they still able to afford this house? So on the U.S., so they're really trying to on the U.S. front, U.S. builder front, they're really trying to get their inventory down as much as possible. And in some market, actually buying new is getting almost as cheap as buying existing home. So this is something to look at in the near future. And in the meantime, I'm gonna leave it at that, and we'll talk to you later. So if I'll come back a little later. Yeah.